Congratulations to Joyce, the new WBO interim heavyweight champion. So now he's beaten Joseph Parker. What's next for Alexander for Joseph Parker? I just said the word Alexander Usyk there. Um, what happens to Joyce? Obviously, I've just talked about Joseph Parker. What happens to Joseph Parker after his defeat to Joyce? And what happens to Joyce now that he's in prime position to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world? Join us here on BWTM Sports. Back in a moment. So many thoughts going through my mind. Joseph Parker, Joyce, Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. So it's everything just going through your head all at once. So a bit late with the post-fight. It's been an absolutely hectic time here. But anyway, let's get on with it. So Joseph Parker gets stopped in the 11th round by Joyce. He was ahead on the scorecard. He boxed very well. They did work on his defense. One thing I noticed, he was blocking that big right hand over the top. He was covering over one of his hands, kind of turning to the side and blocking the right hand. He was still getting hit, still too many big shots, overhand rights, winged overhand rights. Joseph Parker, to me, and I still have a lot of respect for Andy Lee, and I still think he's a quality trainer. But I think what may have happened for this fight is he may have been a bit too heavy coming into this fight. And I expect to see Parker be a bit more explosive his punching. I expect him to be throwing fast combinations, getting in and out. And I think the extra weight, whereas that may have been effective against Chisora, wasn't effective against somebody like Joyce, who's constantly putting pressure on him. You know, it's that type of pressure. When they were talking about the WBO title potentially being vacated by Anthony Joshua before he was going to fight Alexander Usyk, and Usyk and Joyce was being lined up to fight one another, and they were talking about Joshua fighting Fury, and we knew that wasn't going to happen at the time because Fury had obligations with Wilder, which obviously came to pass, and we saw the third fight. I said then that I felt that Joyce would be an absolute nightmare for Alexander Usyk. People kept going back and showing me the video saying, "Oh, but look what he did in the amateurs." I said, "That's the amateurs. This is the pros." And he's got just as good as engine as Alexander Usyk. And you look at what Anthony Joshua was able to do against Alexander Usyk. Look at what Derek Chisora was able to do against Alexander Usyk. And then look at what Joyce brings to the table. And I said I wasn't a big fan of Joyce in the beginning, but I was one who came and called him the British George Foreman. And I was saying, this guy reminds me of George Foreman. Oh, but he's slow, he's this and that. I said, this guy, Joyce, is dangerous. If you allow Joyce to trap you on them ropes and put your back up against them ropes, and he's trudging forward, you are in big, big trouble. And unfortunately for Joseph Parker, he spent a lot of time skirting with his back against the ropes against Joyce, and that's where Joyce was at his most dangerous. Parker had his moments, but for the most part, Joyce was able to back Parker up, put him onto the back foot, and force him to fight. And when it's you who's putting the pressure, and it's you who's applying the pressure, you don't tire as much as if somebody's putting the pressure on you. You know, that fight, when Joyce raised his hands at the end of that fight, it reminded me of when Lennox Lewis beat Gary Mason for a number of reasons. And it's quite interesting because Lennox Lewis, I think it's about 14 or 15 fights he had when he had beat Gary Mason. And Joe Joyce, although Joe Joyce isn't British, it's that convincing the British public that you're that good. When Joyce raised his hands, I remember when Lennox raised his hands that night when he beat Gary Mason, it was like, right, I've got the attention of the British public. The British public really are going to back me now. And that was like a turning of the tide. And Joe Joyce now has, I believe, the British public firmly in his sights now. And I believe a lot of them are going to go for Joyce because of his exciting style, his crash bang wallop style. I said this guy is very much like George Foreman. The difference between Joe Joyce and George Foreman in terms of the way they fight is that Joyce doesn't throw the uppercut in the same way. If Joyce could add the uppercut to his arsenal of punches, he would be, he'd be vicious. But I backed Joyce to beat Usyk had they met back then. I still feel that way today. People say, no, Usyk without boxing and stuff. Well, Usyk may start to box him early doors, but I think later on, Joyce has got the type of style to wear Usyk down and to stop Usyk. That's what I believe. But I didn't think it would happen early. I think it'd be late on, like how it happened with Parker. That's how I think it would happen with Usyk. Because Joyce would just keep putting pressure on Usyk, like how Usyk put pressure on opponents. He will put the pressure and press Usyk back. This isn't 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds. This is a 12-round fight, and big bombs are going to hit Chuck team. So I think it's a great fight. Forgive me. So really happy for Joe Joyce. As Parker is going to come back, I think Parker, for me, needs to be lighter. I think he's got a good training in Andy Lee, but I think he needs to come in lighter. I think he was too heavy against Joe Joyce, and maybe that plan backfired. that plan backfired for this particular fight. If they bulk up and be heavier, fine. I can go toe-to-toe with Joyce when I need to, but maybe for this fight, it wasn't the smartest thing to have done. As for Joe Joyce, he should push for Alexander Usyk fight. I think that's a great fight. And one that I don't think Alexander Usyk would be as excited to take on. Usyk wanting to talk about a third fight, possibly with Anthony Joshua, talking about Deontay Wilder. We're not talking about Joe Joyce. That's a great fight to make. Joseph Parker come back. Yeah, it's going to take some time to heal up now. He's been knocked out now. So he's been dropped, but now he's been knocked out in a real tough fight against a guy that he hit with his best shots. And that guy kept coming and coming and coming. And Parker didn't have any answer to what Joyce had. I mean, he was literally swinging from the back of the arena. He was throwing them right hands, and Joyce was able to absorb those shots. Some of those shots, I think he can see. I think Joyce is able to see those shots as well, Again, Joyce sucked it up, and he proved a lot of people wrong that said that he was too slow, too ponderous. Well, he's proved you all wrong, hasn't he? So congratulations once again to Joe Joyce. Evening. I feel Joe Joyce is a breath of fresh air. Such a down-to-earth, decent human being who just says it like it is. Contrast his personality to Professor AJ, completely fake, fanatic, fury who. Talks utter nonsense 95%, delusional wild with his emotions. Well, I'm not sure what. Completely fake, frank fury who talks on nonsense 95% and delusional wild with his. Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air. People are sick and tired of. I told you. I've said it before, Fury, flip-flop Fury. Now we have the situation where we might as well talk about that as well. Fury's talking about, that Hearn and Warren supposedly at the negotiating this fight between him and Joshua. And he sort of 5 o'clock signed the contract. If you don't sign the contract, the fight is done. Sounds to be that he wants that Manuel Shah fight. That's what it seems to be. Tyson wants the Manuel Shah fight December 3rd. Unless things change between the last time I heard Tyson Fury talking and now, I don't know, people are not fed up with Tyson Fury talking. I don't understand. Like, I think he's taken the WWE act one step too far. Joyce's footwork is decent and covers the ground well. Usyk will struggle to evade him for 12 rounds. I said this a while back about Joyce and Usyk. And I said that this fight is not the fight that people were talking about back in amateur days. Oh, and so many people came on this channel and said to me, oh, Joyce is slow, he's this, he's that. Well, he fought Parker, and Parker's not the slowest heavyweight in the world. Far from it. He's probably one of the faster heavyweights with a decent foot speed and good hand speed. So that's Parker he's dealt with now. He fought Bright Jennings. He was no slouch in terms of speed. He fought the fantastic Dubois that everyone was rating up. And I said, who had Dubois fought? Who had Daniel Dubois fought? And still, who was Daniel Dubois fought? You know, and I would still back Joe Joyce to beat Dubois again, whether he's got Shane McGuigan in his corner or not. You know? So, and Derek Chisora is very, very fortunate that he never went and fought Joyce. He's very fortunate. When Hay was pushing him into that fight with Joyce, imagine now thinking Derek Chisora fighting Joe Joyce, and imagining what Parker was doing to Derek Chisora. Imagine what Joe Joyce would be doing to Derek Chisora, who likes to voluntarily go to the ropes. Not great. You had me at the Foreman. Yeah, but I've been talking about the British Joe Foreman, because I mean people like to be nostalgic and about the old time fighters, but George and Joe. In fact, I think Joe is faster than George. I think Joe is actually faster than George. I'm talking about Big George, old school George that fought what's his name? For Muhammad Ali. And I don't think Joyce is as wild as Foreman. While Foreman will just throw wild shots. You see Foreman for shots like that, you know, don't get me wrong, Foreman was more, and for my mind, I would like Joyce to be more outside the ring, more intimidating outside the ring. I'd like to see him talk less. Man, he's faster, yes. And bigger. Yeah, he is. So I've called him the British George Foreman. I've been calling him British George Foreman for a while. You know, a big left jab, getting you to the ropes. That's what George used to do. Push you to the ropes with a jab. And when you got you to the ropes, then start unloading on you. And that's how Joyce fights. Would Joe Joyce beat Joshua, please? Your thoughts? Well, I'm thinking about this for a second. I know Joshua cannot fight off the back foot. He cannot fight off the back foot. And if he gets hit, he doesn't take punches very well, in my estimation. And I don't think I stop here because Joshua's got a decent jab. He puts his punches together decent, well. He fights good against big men. Joshua is faster than Joyce. and probably a tad more athletic than Joyce. But take that to one side. If you talk about digging deep, I'm going to go with Joyce. I think Joyce will stop Joshua. I think he'd stop him. I think he'd stop him. But I think Joshua gives Joyce a tougher fight than Parker. Funnily enough, I think Joshua gives Joyce a tougher fight. Joyce has more weapons. Okay, that's what people are saying here now. I like Joyce's willingness to implement the dark arts in the ring. He's willing to fight as well as box. Yeah, that's it. Joe Joyce versus Andy Ruiz. Joe Joyce stops AJ in 6 rounds. I don't know. I'm not gonna, because AJ got beat by Usyk, start downgrading what AJ can do. That's the thing. AJ doesn't do well against small guys, against big men. That's my against big men. I think AJ does well, but I don't think he does well when a guy comes and puts it on him. I think AJ is the type of guy that needs space and time to get his jab going and get confidence and stuff. I don't think Joyce is going to give him that. I think he would at the moment. Can Joyce take Wilder power? That's a fight that I would swerve Joyce away from. I've said it a number of times. I think Wilder's got what it takes to do what he did to Brazil to Joyce. It's the speed of Wilder's punching I'm concerned. The power's there, but speed times strength equals power. So, yeah. Goes Joshua knocked Joyce out twice the amateurs and can do it again. It will come down to who wants it more, and Joyce may want it more. Yeah, that's the thing. I was think that I did consider those things in the amateurs. But it's how much Joyce has improved as a fighter and how much Joshua's improved as a fighter. And that Joshua that knocked out Joyce, is that Joshua even around anymore? That guy that's going to come out and try and be brave and try and put it on Joyce in the first round? I don't see that now. If you're not doing it to Usyk, who's a smaller guy, why are you going to come out and try and do it? And you're scared of getting knocked out. Why are you going to come out and jump out against a guy like Joyce? I don't see it, but I get you. I haven't seen Joyce hurt. Have you? I thought Hammer hurt him in the first round. He's blinking and he pushed him back to ropes in the first round, or he stunned him. I have seen Joyce hurt. Go back and look at the Bright Jennings fight. It wasn't to the head, it was to the body. The body shots of Bright Jennings. Joyce has got more heart than AJ. Yes, he has. That answers my question. Yeah. Why didn't Fury have it with Joyce in December as the Joshua fight is off the table if he's really the king? Because he's got Mamor Shah. He's got Mamor Shah. I've told you about this before. It's the old 1-2 from Fury. Fury's a lot more fake than Joshua. Fury's full of it. Only Fury would challenge someone with back-to-back losses and see his decision as rational. Oh dear me. You gotta love Tyson. It's what I like about Tyson is the face of it. It's just the gall and the bold faces he has to go on camera and say some things, and you're like, you really believe that shit? You really believe what you're saying there? And because I've had time to talk to Tyson and been up close and talk to Tyson off camera, I know a lot of the stuff he's doing is very much WWE pantomime stuff. That's all. It's pantomime stuff. Stars make fights. Don't underestimate Joshua. Usyk beat Joyce convincingly in the amateurs too. People are underestimating Usyk. Joyce as well, you know, saying he was too slow. Joyce is proving he's better than he looks, which I've known for a long time. He's very awkward, and his opponents say he's slow, but in the ring, it's a big problem. I've said this before. Yeah, Usyk is still a dark horse. He's a dark horse, but he'll now be fighting somebody who's got just as good as engine as him, hits harder than him, knows how to cut the ring off, knows how to cut the corners off. And that's why Usyk had the success he had against Joshua, because Joshua does not know how to cut off the corners. He doesn't know how to cut off the corners. He doesn't know how to shut Usyk off. So if he can cut the corners off and shut Usyk into a corner, and that's why Derek Chisora did as well as he did. You know? AJ got no heart. AJ need to fight Luis Ortiz. That good test. Luis Ortiz. If Joyce could take Wilder's power, he'll wear Wilder down and stop him. If I wouldn't be, if I were managing Joyce, I said I wouldn't take that fight, not unless it was absolutely necessary. You beat me too. I was about to say Jennings to the body. Yeah, it was Jennings to the body actually. White versus AJ2 for Eddie Hearn. Yeah, you can see it coming, can't you? Fury yet to prove to me that he's an all-time great. Klitschko, while stylistic is made for him, he will have to do to Joshua and Usyk for me to believe he's an all-time great. I don't know. Looking at the two styles, the Fury that beat, you're looking at two, for me, Fury's in two different eras. If you understand, there was the Peter Fury, that era of Fury where he was dropping his hands and moving around the ring, really, and, you know, when he fought Klitschko. And then you've got the Wilder era of Fury where he's more standing his ground, letting his shots go. Which Fury fights better against Anthony Joshua? I'd love to know what people think. Flower ceremony. Oh, it's pure disrespect. Pure disrespect. But Floyd was like, you know what? Okay, fair enough. I'm going to take you out on your countrymen. I'll take you out on your countrymen. I do believe that Joyce might be able to absorb that right hand from Wilder, be stunned, and then start touching forward again. Yeah? Well, if I'm his manager, I'm not banking on it. MG is here. It's a different kind of fake. It makes sense. AJ had media training. I'd be amused if Fury has. Now, yeah. The way Joe beat and battered Parker, I feel sorry for Parker when he hit the canvas. I thought he was dead. Oh, my God. I like Joe, man. I like Joe. I really do like Joe. Joe Joyce will beat up Usyk and stop him inside. I mean, I've said this before, but is Parker the fight that makes people... Was Parker too heavy? Is Parker at his best? Was his fight against Chisora was it an overrated win against Chisora, who a lot of people said beat him in the first fight? I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be smart after the event, by the way. I'm just throwing things up. Can we agree that Fury never won the AJ fight and was promoting his fight against Shah? Yes, I said that in my previous video. How to sell a fight against Manuel Shah and get the public backing. He's been doing it. Don't be silly. Says Eddie Hearn says the party is sorting the fight out 25 minutes ago. Really? Okay. Eddie said a lot of things. He also told us that he had the fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua was going to happen, and we knew damn right it weren't going to happen. So, jury's still on out on Fury being all-time great. He defended WBC once, never defended a unified title. The best wins were Wilder and Klitschko. Let him go undisputed so we can see. He technically is. He's won all the belts in the heavyweight division. You know. Joseph Parker retire or Joseph Parker versus Dubois. Oh, that's a good fight. I would take, if I'm Joseph Parker, I'd get myself up and go and fight Daniel Dubois. That's a great fight. That's a winnable fight for Joseph Parker as well. Fury is avoiding being defeated. As long as he keeps fighting, he will lose. And when that day happens, he's done. Old Fury will do better against Joshua. The Fury that want to brawl with Joshua may run into trouble with uppercut from hell. That uppercut from hell. Did you see the uppercut once against Usyk? I didn't. Wilder's right hand or Lennox Lewis's right hand? Wilder's right hand. I'm not sure. Wilder's right hand. Lennox Lewis knocked people out, but it did knock him out the way that he never knocked him out the way that Wilder knocked a guy out. And as you said that, you know what I thought about Lennox Lewis versus Mike Weaver? It was in Canada. He just finished beating Gary Mason and he hit Weaver with 1-2, knocked him out flat. But Lennox Lewis didn't knock a lot of guys out like that. He stopped guys, knocked guys down, but he didn't knock guys out like, oh, even in the Gallotta fight. The Gallotta fight, Grant didn't have much of a chin. What else? Big fights. Mike Tyson took a whole heap of shots. The Mike always does. What else? The Briggs fight. Briggs was tired. He didn't knock Briggs out flat. Didn't flatten Briggs. So I don't know. I think I'd go with Wilder because of the devastating punches that Wilder's thrown. I think Fury 1 strolls to easy points win versus AJ. Fury 2, I give AJ more of a chance if his head's right. Yeah, I would agree with you there. This Fury is a better fight. This Fury is a better fight for AJ. Joyce is super dangerous. Well, I said I've been saying Joyce is a dangerous man. I've been saying it. I was glad Parker did not beat the count. I think he would have been beat up worse and suffered long-term damage with the time left in the round. Yeah. He was exhausted carrying that extra weight around and then having to constantly kick Joyce off of him. Andy Lee changed a lot of things for the better for Joseph, I thought. Yeah, he has. But I don't know if the weight for this fight was right. Parker versus Dubois, Frank Warren, make that fight. Yeah, I think it's a great fight to make. I'm still in disbelief that Joyce beat Parker that easily. I always rated Parker highly and I just made Joyce. I thought Parker was the better fighter. I'm so wrong. When you see Joyce get hit with 3-piece combinations with a shoulder shake, his head in denial and come forward, that's serious problems for anyone. Yeah. Can Wilder's gas tank handle 19 stone of Joyce leaning all over him? If Joyce can take Wilder's power, he can easily drown him. He's got to start to force Wilder back. It's the in-between I'm concerned about. Here's a fight. Joe Joyce versus David Haye. What do you think about that fight? Do you think Usyk will reign supreme long in the heavyweight division? No, I don't. I think if he fights Fury and he gets the undisputed, I think he's done after that. I don't think he hangs around much longer. Joyce is relentless and carries his weight well. Solid chin and thudding jab. I told you, George Foreman. All the things you talk about there is George Foreman. Lennox punches way harder than Wilder. Really? Based on? based on. Couldn't put away Evander Holyfield. James Toney did it. Riddick Bowe did it. Couldn't put away Zelko Mavrovic, 15 stone. Zelko Mavrovic. He knocked Mike down. But I felt Holyfield did a better job against Mike. And also, I'll tell you another thing. I was going to say something else. The two fights Holyfield had with Lennox didn't come close to being knocked out. I don't know. I just think Wilder's a better puncher. In terms of one-punch knockout power. Lennox, throughout his career, was never noted as a devastating one-punch knockout artist. Yeah, he had a big right hand, but he wasn't noted as I would never, well, I could be wrong, but saying Lennox was an all-time great heavyweight puncher, I wouldn't put him up there like that. You look at Foreman when he fought like guys like Fraser, he lifted Fraser off his feet when he threw his punches. I mean, no, I don't see it. I don't see it. Dubois will smash Parker. Not sure if Daniel is eager to get back in the ring with Joyce. Really? If Parker can push Dubois back, I've said it before, I say it again. I don't think Dubois fights well off the back foot. I think if you can push Dubois back, and I don't think he's got the greatest defense either. Lennox Lewis is a concussive puncher, not a one-punch KO artist. That's the one, concussive. But yeah, that's it. There's a difference. Parker must go back to 240 stand a chance at world level again. This 255 for his body frame, in hindsight, is so stupid. Yeah. It's not good for him. Not for the Joyce fight. AJ got best uppercut in division, but he goes buster. Now brown bread. Weaver, Rackman too. Can't think of any others. Yeah, but wait. Rackman's got knocked out twice by... Did he get knocked out by... Corey Sardin knocked him through the ropes. Oleg Maskev knocked him through the ropes. Rackman through the ropes as well. So Rackman had been knocked out before he fought Lennox Lewis. So I still can hear the combination. Where he knocked at Rackman. Wilder right hand, still unbelievable. One opponent had seizure in the ring. Then that Polish guy looked dead. That's what I'm saying against Spilka and against, what's the guy's name again? I can't remember the guy's name again. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Lennox Lewis has never done that. In his whole career, he's never done that to opponents. And that's what he's concussive. He's concussive. Lewis' right hand lifted both off the ground and was spun around. Plus, Lewis hit better opponents than Wilder. Better opponents than Wilder. Well, Holyfield and Tyson were past their prime when Lennox fought them. So who are the best fighters Lennox fought in his career? I'm not knocking Lennox here, but we're going to go for the guys he fought. His best wins. Shannon Briggs, David Tua, Andrew Galotta, Michael Grant, Gary Mason. There's another one. Glenn McCrory, the cruiserweight. Lennox has a great right hand. Glenn McCrory. Can you imagine if Deontay Wilder fought Glenn McCrory? What other choice? Who you got? I ain't touching that fight. I ain't nowhere near it. I want to see how Wilder does against Helenius. I've said that I think Helenius is going to give Wilder problems. Now, that Helenius, looking at Helenius again, he is basically tailor-made for that Wilder right hand. He is. Do you think Usyk would reign supreme in the heavyweight division? I believe he says that after the Fury fight and 2 more fights, he's probably gone. Why I believe that's where many fights to prove himself more. I just don't think he sticks around. I said this on national television. I don't think he sticks around. No way BT ESPN shared the broadcast with the zone. I keep telling people. Can't believe I'm enjoying your life this. Thank you very much, Spartan. Appreciate that. Joyce versus Prime David Hay, I think would go the distance. I think Hay would pot shot, moving out, hustling. What happens if Joyce hits Hay on the chin? Dylan White gonna leave Eddie Hearn gatekeeper season. You're talking rubbish. Yeah. Parker looked like a bobblehead after that hook. Wilder definitely the harder puncher. Just look at the knockout reels. That's what I'm saying. You just have to look at the knockout reels. Briggs versus Wilder right hand. That's a fight. Forget Briggs versus Wilder right hand. Briggs versus Wilder. That's an incredible fight. Briggs has got, I think, the most first round knockouts in history. I believe so. Shannon Briggs. Please check the facts on that, but I believe it's Shannon Briggs. So Shannon Briggs versus Deontay Wilder. That is an absolute, what a fight. Wilder versus Briggs. Let's say I'm going to take Briggs, who fought Lennox Lewis. That's Shannon Briggs, because I think that's the best Shannon Briggs. Because he just come off beating Foreman, I believe. So that's Shannon Briggs versus the Deontay Wilder that knocked out Dominic Brazil. So that Wilder versus Shannon Briggs. Let me know who you think wins. Fury looks shook up by what he saw in Joyce. I think he sees his biggest threat. Well, he has a man that can physically push him back. He has a man that punches hard and he's got an engine and he's not going to deal with his rubbish. Yeah, Fury, that's not a fight that Fury is going to want to take anytime soon. I don't think. Fury fans will tell me something different. Wilder sparked at least 15 opponents or more. That's what I'm saying. Hey, here's another thing. When Lennox Lewis hit Golota got up, but the referee stopped the fight, yeah? When Mike Tyson hit Golota with a right hand, Golota got up and he did not want to come out. He stopped fighting. He got hit that hard by Mike Tyson. That's the difference in punching power right there. I want to see Joshua Otto Wallin in UK. I don't. Jura Miller in New York. I love to see Jura Miller and AJ. White 2 in Stadium. Then Fury. I want to see Fury versus the best AJ. Fighting Fury at his lowest takes away from the fight. Well, yeah, but if you fight AJ now, yeah, that prevents AJ getting beat again in some secondary fight somewhere. Until Wilder, I've never seen a guy punch through so hard you shot a shockwave of a punch ripple down his fat. Damn, yeah, that was some punch. And that was set up by the left jab, right hand combination. And I don't understand why Malik Scott didn't tell Wilder to keep throwing that jab. That combination, Fury never saw that right hand coming. He never saw it coming. Dubois don't got Joyce chin. Parker will lay him out. I'd love to see Parker Dubois. Pemberton, it's a one-way rematch clause. If Fury beats AJ, there's no rematch. and AJ be done at that point anyway. Yep. Lennox Lewis Rackman 2 ending a combination of concussive set of punches. Yep. David Tua versus Joe Joyce. Great fight. Let me give you a fight. Ike Abebuye, the president, versus Joe Joyce. What a war that fight is. The president versus Joe Joyce. David Tua, KO's Rackman. Lajkovic, that's the fight. Butchered the name, LOL. Yeah, butchered, you're right. I can't accept Fury fighting Manuel Shah. You might not accept it, but expect it. Who got knocked out cold by Breeders. Oh, by the way, I must remind you that it was that Manuel Shah that was being trained by Lennox Lewis. If I'm right. Yes, I'm right. Yes, I'm right. Lennox Lewis was training two guys. He was training Manuel Shah. He got absolutely poleaxed by Breeders, and he trained David Price. And we saw how that worked out when I was telling people why everyone want Lennox Lewis to train David Price against the Southpaw. What Southpaw did he fight and beat? The one Southpaw he had a chance to fight was my boy Chris Bird. If Joshua fought Manuel Shah when he was unified champion, the boxing world would go crazy. I know. But you know, it's one rule for Tyson Fury and another rule for everybody else. Spilk was carried out of the ring by paramedics, and his hospital rounds said Wilder doesn't hit hard. This, my friends, is called brain trauma. Never the same after that. No. Wilder can only fight the guys in his ear. I agree. Ray Mercer. Merciless. Ray Mercer. Ray Mercer debatable. Yeah. Ray Mercer thought that he beat Lennox Lewis, and he told us that on BWTM Sports. The interview is on the channel, by the way. Just type in BWTM Sports Ray Mercer. Oh, yeah, and also type in BWTM Sports Hassim Rackman. It's a great interview as well. Loved it. Talking to those two legends. Lennox Lewis best win, Ray Mercer. Debatable, mate. I'm not sure about that. Win? I don't know about that. Lennox Lewis best win, Razor Ruddock. That same sound was when he knocked Ruddock down. Is when he knocked Ruddock down, and then when he knocked out Rackman, it was the same shot. Sorry, I do believe Usyk will be undisputed for real. Lennox Lewis beat Vitaly Klitschko in his last fight at 38. Yeah, that right there. Yeah, that's up there. And that was a Lennox Lewis who wasn't in shape because he was expecting to fight Kurt Johnson. And Kurt Johnson pulled out, and Lennox said, I'll fight the next guy on the list. True story. Joyce versus Ruse. Who has an insane chin? That's a good fight, man. Good fight. It's more likely that we get Ingram Jones versus GGG than Eddie Hearn delivering a Fury versus AJ. What happens if Hay gets hit? That's why he's got a pot shot move his life depending on it. I think Joyce has to stick with his big fights now and should fight White or Joyce. Can't fight himself. Or White or AJ. Okay. Bo versus Joe Joyce. Nah. I think Bo beats Joyce. I think Bo beats Joyce. Prime Bo who beat Holyfield. That Riddick Bo in that shape. The jab, the right hand, he's able to fight on the inside, fight on the outside, wicked jab, good right hand, nice left hook, uppercut. Nah, man, Bo beats Joyce. Bo beats Joyce because Bo can put, first of all, Bo will not allow Joyce to back him to the ropes. Bo's got an excellent jab, so he'll be able to dictate the fight behind that jab. Wicked right hand, combination punching. No, Bo beats Joyce, man. Bo beats Joyce. Frank Sanchez Joyce is an interesting fight. Oh, it's a damn interesting fight. Brian Briggs versus Wilder does not get around since I think it will look something like G-Man versus Julian Jackson. Wow, what a fight. Foreman Joyce, mad fight. That's a. But which Foreman is Joyce fighting? Is he fighting George Foreman Ali era, or are we George Foreman Michael Moorer era, Evander Holyfield era? Which George Foreman? White offered to fight Joshua December as the Fury fight is off. Your thoughts? I thought White was mainly fighting Daniel Dubois. My thoughts? Well, I said AJ. I've called AJ Dubois, AJ White 2 for the longest while. I've been calling that for ages. I'm not surprised. Not surprised. One of Eddie's Christmas crackers. It's the fight the British public want to see. Both men coming off a loss. Last chance saloon for either guy. You just remind me about the Brazil knockout. I thought Brazil died first place second. See, how many fights can you look at? There's another fight. Lennox lose, Oliver McCall. The second fight. How many fights have you seen where a man is walking around the ring and a guy who's got a huge right hand is landing? Could you imagine Deontay Wilder landing that same right hand on Oliver McCall? And Oliver McCall just walking around the ring crying, and Lennox is going boom with the right hand. And Oliver McCall just walking around the ring. No, man, come on. No. Go back and look at the fight when Oliver McCall had that breakdown and Lennox hits him with big right hand and he's walking around the ring. No, sorry. That's about it for me. Hey, Barry, what's going on, man? Long time no see. AJ versus White. Winner Joyce should take it. Nah, Dubois should take the winner. Long time ago, a husband and wife carved a piece of sheetrock out of the wall, chipped it and snapped it, and together named in Joe Joyce. Serious problem, that guy. Mike Tyson separates people from the senses. Wilder separates people from the dimensions. AJ would kill Miller. He's not a top 15 fighter and never was. Really? I just thought the fact that Miller would bring it to Joshua would cause problems. I always think a guy that can bring a fight to Joshua and get inside of his head and push him back and cause him problems. If we had a rerun of the 80s heavyweight unifications, who would be your 8 and who would fight who? Wow, man, that's a long conversation. The 80s. Heavyweight 80s. God, that's a show in itself, bro. That's a show itself. I couldn't answer that question now. Guys, great disservice. That's a show and a half. I think I did something like this before where Uncle Bashir picked 8 fighters and I picked 8 fighters. And we went head to head with one another of our heavyweights. What is the logical reason why AJ gasses? Do you think it's mental? He stopped lifting weights much. There's still gasses. I think it's mental. So unfortunate. Chris Bird has some good fights and potential. I want to come back to that thing about Joshua as well. Lactic acid. I think is another thing. If you've been pushing weights in a certain way, your muscles are built a certain way. So from what I understand, you lift weights like this and you're lifting weights like that and you do like heavyweight stuff. So when you're boxing, I guess the muscle memory isn't built that way. I'm only assuming that for Joshua because he looks like a bodybuilder. He does look like a bodybuilder. So I've heard a lot of bodybuilders say in the past that Joshua's bodybuild, he looks like a bodybuilder. He's built like a bodybuilder. So I don't know. But they still, the thing about Joshua, and people have said it to me before, is how he put on So if you look at the start of his career, how he had to pack on so much weight so quickly. AJ versus Shah, good fight. Do you think Fury set the deadline knowing he was fighting Shah along? I said that in my previous video. Surely flip-flop can't pull out of a fight with Shah, who has a boxing the last 5 years. Well, I know. I think he fought Trevor Bryan. I'm still interested in Wilder versus Ruiz. Yeah, I get you on that one. Razor would have been favored to beat every heavyweight today, minus Fury. That left hand. Why boxing world say this man can't box? It's crazy business. Have you got the new FIFA 23? It came out today. Oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that, bro. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. Anybody want to sponsor me FIFA 23? Anyone want to buy FIFA 23 for me? Hey, please, somebody buy FIFA 23 for me. Sponsor the channel. Get me FIFA 23. I need FIFA 23. Somebody get me FIFA 23. I can't get FIFA 23. Oh, I'm going to cry. Lennox Lewis would have gave Usyk a good hiding. Big punch, big size, punches hard, good engine, good heart. Lennox would have special indeed. Let me ask you one question. They say Lennox is special. How many southpaws did Lennox Lewis fight in his career? And that's the first thing. And the second thing is, why didn't he fight any southpaws? There were two southpaws that he could have fought, which is Michael Moorer and Chris Bird. He never fought any of those southpaws. That was in his old era. Ingram might laugh, but you've got to understand, even he understands, I'm a pugilist specialist. I'm master of the art. Lennox Lewis 2022. Uh, 300 fights, lost 10. Usyk's a real pound for pound now heavyweight champion, unbeaten. Big Daddy Bo, I think, would compete in any era. Very unsung warrior. I still would love to see Bo fight Lewis. And Emmanuel Stewart said that he felt that Bo was slightly better in every department to Lennox Lewis. Joyce should fight Ortiz and Martin while he waits for his shot. Those are the best realistic guys available. I won't fight Ortiz. I'd go and fight Daniel Dubois again. Pick up the WBA belt. Why not? When he get the grill era, LOL 175. He did mad. Big George. Okay, I'm not sure. What do you think of Parker wanting Fury to be his mentor when he could be fighting and challenging Fury? For me, it shows a lot of Parker's mentality, adding on weight because Fury did, and other stupidity. It's interesting you say that. Fury probably starfish Brazil. George Foreman. I'm thinking about the thing you said there, Spartan. George Foreman, when he made the grill era, LOL, 165 million he made from that grill. Damn. I think look. I never thought Kevin Barry was good for Parker at a certain time. I thought Parker should have left Kevin Barry a long time ago. And Andy Lee is a good fit for Joseph Parker. I'm not sure if Joseph Parker, Andy Lee, and Tyson Fury are a good mix. I'd like to see Andy Lee and Joseph Parker training without the influence of Tyson Fury. I think that'd be interesting. Parker wouldn't get out of 4 rounds of Wilder. Joyce is a problem. Yes, he is a problem. I've been saying that for a while. Miller would cause AJ problems if he could punch, but he can't punch. But I wouldn't say that Usyk's a big one-punch knockout artist, and he made AJ do the dance, so might hit hard enough. Joe Joyce should get a title shot next year while his punches is still top, and he's competitive. Shave his head and stop talking and start interrupting press conferences of current champions. I said that about Joyce. Less talk from Joe Joyce. No more of them acrobatic stuff. I mean, who would your current 8 be under the format? Current 8 in a heavyweight. Well, the president would be one of my heavyweights for sure. I'll definitely have the president in my competition. I would love to. I would. My wild card would be Corey Sanders. I would put Corey Sanders in there. Vitaly Klitschko would definitely has to be in there. Riddick Bowe. Oh, current crop. Anyway, let Riddick Bowe. I would have Riddick over Lennox. Because I look at the two guys he got beat by. He got beat by Hasim Rahman and he got beat by Oliver McCall. You could say it was casual or whatever. So if you can get beat by Oliver, get knocked out by Oliver McCall, and you can get knocked out by Hasim Rahman, those two fights right there, I'm going to go with Riddick Bowe. Bowe would have got knocked out by Hasim Rahman and Oliver McCall as far as I'm concerned. So I always rate Bowe a little higher, but Bowe and Lewis never fought. I would like to have, but I would take Bowe. Now, AJ, he says, AJ still lifts a lot of weights. I follow him in school. Same lifting regimen he always had to sell Under Armour. Oh, boy. Fury don't like to fight top 10 guys unless it's mandatory. Snazzy, how we doing, my friend? Hope you're well. AJ trains his body to sell Under Armour, not to win fights. He fought Lovejoy. Oh, Trevor Boy. Oh, yeah, Charlotte fought Lovejoy. That's it. Joshua fighting White would help his reputation if he knocks White out in a few rounds. He needs to get back to knockout ways to win the fights. It goes, sorry, bro, you can't get that 10-hour trial for FIFA for $3.99, though, if you wanted. What's the point in getting a trial? If Bowe versus Lewis, one of the tragedies of boxing that it didn't happen. Fraser versus Wilder, great fight. Ingram, let's see what this here. Do you think Andy Lee should have thrown in a towel in? Park was getting peppered for the majority. It was clear early on he was way too heavy. I think Lee's thinking to himself, well, at some point, maybe, just maybe, you could land a shot that can turn the fight around. That's what you're hoping for, aren't you? And if he stops the fight early, questions be asked: is Lee a world-class trainer? I think Lee's a top trainer. I think he's a top trainer, world-class. I think he's a top trainer. You've got a great active mind, bro. Answering comments while thinking about the previous one. LOL. Yep. Andy Lee. I'm going to come back to that thing about Tyson Fury and Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker needed a mentor. He really did, because of I just didn't think that his previous trainer did him any favors. I didn't. And I was so glad when Parker left him. So glad. So glad. I've been telling people for ages, Parker's got to leave his trainer. And when I heard he was with Andy Lee, I was very happy. Witherspoon versus Lennox Lewis, who wins? I don't know. How Bruno doing this era? Well, how Bruno doing this era? Pretty good until he got hit on the chin. That's pretty good until he got hit on the chin. Or he gassed out, one or the other. That's the best I can give you an answer to that, because that's what it is with Bruno, isn't it? If you hit him on the chin. In my dream lineup, Vitaly would be forced at gunpoint to fight Vladimir, although I believe Vitaly is more skilled of the two. Bruno would sleep AJ. Don't know. Yep. Jane. Good evening, Jane. Hope that you're well. Do you think Kevin Barry's an average trainer then? I just think he took Josie Parker as far as he could. There was a ceiling, and it just seemed to me that Josie Parker was doing the same things over and over again and wasn't actually improving, but just staying the same. And if you're not improving, then you're stagnating, you're going backwards. So, yeah, that's what I felt. Do you think any of these fights happen? AJ versus Wilder, AJ versus Fury, Joyce versus Fury, AJ versus Joyce. AJ versus Fury can still happen next year. Summer fight or stadium fight. I don't believe December's enough time. I think the fight has to be a stadium fight where they can make a lot more money in it. I don't know where Fury was talking about December, AJ fighting Fury. I don't know where Fury that was going. I didn't see it. I thought it was stadium fight next year, spring, summer of next year, stadium fight. Yes, outdoor. Let's make that happen. Wembley. Imagine that fight at Wembley for AJ Fury. Yes. AJ Joyce. Less of a chance that happening, unless Joyce is a champion. Wilder versus AJ, only if they tie AJ down, knock him out unconscious, take him to no, AJ Wilder's not happening. No, I don't see it happening unless they're catching him out. No, all the above. No, it's not. I do see AJ Fury happening next year, summer next year. Forget Fury talking rubbish about, yeah, good life for you, AJ. Next year. If Fury, the question people should ask is if Fury going to fight Usyk. Is Fury going to fight Usyk? That's the one. He's a pumped up, he's a middleweight. Well, if he's a middleweight and he's so easy, why don't you fight him instead of Manuel Sharp? No, take a right. Just don't fight Manuel Sharp. What are you fighting Manuel Sharp for? I don't get it. I don't understand. All right, let me get out of here. Guys, thank you so much for watching as always. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. And let's put this here, a little banner up here as well. Let's put this here. There we go. Put that there. Right, and if any of you want to donate for the new FIFA, for FIFA 23, then you can donate to my PayPal, and I'll get FIFA 23 going. Let's see what people says here. Let's go here. Bruno Dillian White. How would that go? Bruno, I think, wins that. Very quickly, the best option of Bruno era would need to go Bridger or Cruiser. Kevin Barry trained David Tua, and you saw how that worked out with the Lennox Lewis fight. AJ versus Wilder happens. AJ versus Fury might. Fury versus AJ. Fury versus Joyce unlikely. AJ versus Joyce more than likely. I don't think Fury fancies Usyk fight, nor do I. White versus Dubois. Parker versus Chisora 2. Joyce versus AJ or Fury agrees. Shah is a stinker, absolute stinker. Right, let me get out of here. Thank you all so much as always. This is BWTM Sports. And we're out. Thank you so much for watching as always. Take care.